Well, Tennessee got him. David Sanders officially commits to the University of Tennessee, and there should be nobody in college football saying that Josh Heupel can't recruit. All that and more, a massive recruiting show coming up here on a Monday, Locked On Vols.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, good Monday morning, everybody. Welcome into Locked On Vols. It is going to be a fun show here today, and we couldn't do it without our friends over at FanDuel Sportsbook. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday tickets on YouTube and YouTube TV. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to go ahead and get started today. I'm your host, Eric Kane. We're a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every single day, and we have got a loaded show. David Sanders, not Davis Sanders, David Sanders, not like that little typo on the meal card a couple months ago had anything to do with his overall recruitment, but David Sanders has committed to Tennessee. Who is David Sanders? If you don't know, I will tell you exactly who he is, but it's a pretty big deal. I'm not going to lie to you. How about them apples? Jaedon Harmon flips. Not from Kentucky, not from Mississippi State, not from Tulane. I mean, this guy committed to Alabama, flipped from Alabama to Tennessee. That happened on a Sunday afternoon, and again, just more evidence that nobody in the world can say Josh Heupel can't recruit anymore. We'll get into that in segment number 2. Travis Smith as well, Tennessee commit, goes off in this Friday season opener. And Tom Fornelli of CBS Sports tells you why, if you don't have a team in 2024, Tennessee should be your team. All that coming up here on a Monday show. You can watch us, listen to us, subscribe to us, all that for free wherever you get your podcasts. And, of course, Locked On Vols on the YouTube channel. Tomorrow's show is a mailbag show, so get in those questions, comments, and concerns at _Kaner and at Locked On Vols. Okay, so David Sanders, he had been trending to Tennessee for quite some time. If you have been dialed in, if you are a VolQuest.com subscriber, frequent to the general's quarters, you have seen Austin Price, you have seen Matt Ray, pretty much all but say, hey, Tennessee's got David Sanders, and they've been that way for quite some time. You've seen some mods from Ohio State or Nebraska or some national perspective be a little bit wary, a little bit, I don't know if Tennessee's going to get it. I don't know if Tennessee's in the boat or whatever, but it's been the same from those guys over at VolQuest.com, a reason why we're the best in covering Tennessee athletics, period. But a large portion of that is because Austin Price and Matt Ray are really good at what they do. They've been adamant about David Sanders to Tennessee for a long, long time. And David Sanders essentially told Tennessee that he was in the boat a couple weeks ago. So it's been done. It's been not official, but it's been done for a couple of weeks. And he made it official over the weekend on Saturday at about 1:30. He played his season opening game for his senior season that Friday night, got the win, came back to his gymnasium, the auditorium. I believe it was the auditorium, or maybe it was somewhere else. Nonetheless, he was in there, had his family behind him, emotional, going through thanking his family, thanking his coaches, thanking his teammates, thanking the nurses. I mean, you're just thinking everybody. But, I mean, to each their own. They can do whatever they want to do. I mean, it was emotional. You can tell that it meant something to him. He commits to the University of Tennessee, and boy, what a get for Tennessee this is. Again, Tennessee was already a top 10 recruiting class in the class of 2025, and this was the big fish that we continue to talk about all cycle long, saying, well, this is great. Tennessee's doing this. Tennessee's doing this. If Tennessee wants to solidify its ranking, if Tennessee wants to solidify its standings as being a true player in this class of 2025, you got to get a big fish. You got to get one of those big dogs in David Sanders, and David Sanders certainly is a big dog. If you're unfamiliar with who David Sanders is, this is what his recruiting profile lists. He is an on-3 5-star plus recruit. The on-3 industry rankings, which of course weights on-3, 247 at 35%. It weights Rivals, I believe, at 20%, and it rates ESPN at 10%. Has him as a 5-star prospect, the number 4 prospect in the class. So a top 5 prospect in the class, the number 1 offensive tackle in the class, and the number 1 player from the state of North Carolina. On-3 specifically, every book has him as a 5-star athlete, but On-3 has him as the number 6 overall player in the country, second offensive tackle, number 1 from North Carolina. 247 has him as the 3rd ranked prospect in the country, number 1 offensive tackle, number 1 prospect for North Carolina. ESPN has him at number 4 in the class. Rivals has him at number 3 in the class. 6'5", almost 6'6", okay? 276 pounds. Number one, he will need to put on some weight, and that is okay. He's got the build, he's got the frame, he's long, he's lanky, he's athletic. He looks a little slim right now, not going to lie, but when you get in here as an early enrollee in January and you get hooked up and connected with the strength and conditioning program here at Tennessee and the sports nutrition program, you will be putting on that weight in the right way. I mean, everybody looks at Chaz Nimrod from spring to now or last season to now. He looks bigger. Now, he says he doesn't weigh anymore, but he looks a lot better because he's been clean eating and putting it on the correct way. And that's what David Sanders will do. But don't worry. He's a little light right now, but that is okay. He's got the frame and everything to hold the weight that he's going to be put on right now. He attends Providence Day High School in Charlotte, North Carolina. Again, this is what is this, the third cycle in 4 years that Tennessee's gotten the top-rated player out of North Carolina, I believe, going back to James Pierce in the class of 2022, David Hobbs, the class of 2023, David Sanders now is the class of 2025. You'll have Faison Brandon coming up in the class of 2026. Tennessee continues to make North Carolina a priority in recruiting, and that's what Philip Fulmer and his staffs did back in the day when Tennessee was on top, making North Carolina an absolute priority, and Josh Heupel has done just that. Again, David Sanders picked Tennessee over Ohio State. Nebraska was very much in that conversation, especially towards the end, but it was Tennessee over Ohio State, Tennessee over Nebraska. Georgia's hat was on the table, but Georgia was never really in the running here. Impact analysis. I mean, what more can you say? Over at VolQuest.com, Matt Ray chimes in and talks with Charles Power, who's the director of recruitings and rankings. This is a little bit, I'm not going to read it all. He had a ton of stuff to say about David Sanders, obviously. This is a little bit about what Charles Power had to say on David Sanders. Quote, David Sanders Jr. is a massive get for Tennessee. He is a big-time offensive tackle prospect, has an outstanding combination of reaction athleticism and play strength for his position. He is a very good stature at around 6'5.5". He's added 25 pounds throughout his junior year of high school, going into his senior year. He is running at around 275, can really move at his size. He's truly elite athlete at his position. He knows runs the 40 and 4 point. Okay, that was a little typo there. He can run the 40-yard dash in a 4.8 seconds. That's really good. He's kind of an all-athlete, multi-sports markers that we look for at the position. He's an elite shot put thrower in track and field, and you can see that on the field. He's always been impressive. He's been a national recruit for the entirety of the cycle and really could have been a blue-chip prospect as a defensive lineman as well, end quote. There's tons more good stuff over there on the impact analysis over at VolQuest.com. Charles Powers speaking to Matt Ray. So, this is the big fish that we continue to talk about. You look at Tennessee's class, and we'll get into a guy that Tennessee flips on Sunday afternoon in segment number 2. Tennessee's now 5th in the conference. Tennessee's now 7th in the SEC after the David Sanders commitment. And guys, I'm telling you, you can't live and die on recruiting rankings nationally and all that, because each time somebody gets another addition to their class, which is every single day, things move, right? Tennessee was like, I think, 9th in the country before David Sanders committed, and now Tennessee's 7th. I think Tennessee was like 6th, now they're 5th. I'll be intrigued to go back and look. We'll talk Jaden Harmon here in just a moment, but I'm recording this show before the flip actually happened, so I don't know how the rankings are going to be affected just yet, but Tennessee will move up again. The important thing to remember is David Sanders made it 22 commits for Tennessee. Jaden Harmon makes it 23 commits for Tennessee. Onis Cannonbody, who we'll speak on here in just a moment, he's going to be making a decision this week. If he picks Tennessee, that'll be commits number 24. Tennessee's class is really starting to round into form, and you have David Sanders that is now joining an offensive line class that I really like. And I like Tennessee's offensive line class last year as well. Nick Moore from Jefferson County, who I believe will be the center for Tennessee in the next couple of years. Douglas Utu is a really, really talented player that I think is going to solidify the inside. Anthony Agmoro, I think, is a guy that has a high upside, but is going to be a developmental player. And then you add David Sanders into that mix, and that's the blue chip tackle. That's the guy that's every team in America wanted. And so I think this goes to show you this is an old school recruitment. He visited Tennessee like 8 or 9 times, okay? NIL is going to be a factor for anybody of his caliber. So any fan from Ohio State or Nebraska saying, oh, he just followed the money, well, buddy, I promise you, if he picked your school, he'd be following the money too, because the money's going to be everywhere for a guy like David Sanders. That is a weak and that is an embarrassing argument, in my opinion. So that's what I would tell all your Ohio State friends and Nebraska fans as well. I think it's just old school fashion recruiting. Glenn Ellerbe did a great job in this regard. They got him on campus as a junior many, many times, and then got him on campus, coming back for the weekend that opened up at the end of July. And I thought that was really, really critical as he stopped back at Tennessee after he visited Nebraska, going back home to Charlotte, North Carolina. So, again, not much more you can say about this one. David Sanders, a 5-star plus offensive tackle. This is the crown jewel of the 2025 recruiting class for the University of Tennessee that, has George McIntyre, Douglas Utu, Travis Smith, who we'll get into here in just a moment. David Sanders is the best of the best, and so congratulations to Glenn Ellerbe. This is a monumental get for Tennessee's offensive line coach. And credit Josh Heupel as well from being involved in this one too, and all the support staffers that helped out. All right, so David Sanders Jr. commits to Tennessee. Tennessee gets a flip from Jaedon Harmon from Alabama. I'll tell you all about Tennessee's new linebacker commit as we continue on here with a Monday edition of Locked On Vols. Stay tuned. All right, FanDuel Sportsbook. I love FanDuel, and I know you do as well. FanDuel Sportsbook. You've heard us talk about FanDuel. It's America's #1 sportsbook. Well, we've got something a little bit different for you here today. So now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with YouTube TV's base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. So let me read this for you again. Okay? Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get 3 weeks of free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. You need a form of payment, you can cancel anytime. You need a Google account, it's as simple as that, right? NFL Sunday. I spent a ton of Saturday afternoon into Saturday evening watching NFL preseason. NFL preseason, right? I mean, that's how starving I am from football. And, with this deal, you can get Sunday NFL tickets. Your Sundays will be taken care of. So head on over to FanDuel.com/lockedon. That is FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel.com/lockedon to download America's #1 sportsbook. FanDuel.com, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball and the NFL. So, of course, the big news of the weekend was David Sanders. David Sanders committing to the University of Tennessee. Monumental get, crown jewel of the class. But Tennessee wasn't done over the weekend. Very quietly were some things moving behind the scenes, and it was lining up to where Tennessee was going to have a major flip on Sunday afternoon, and it ended up going down around 12:30, 1 o'clock Eastern time. Jaden Harmon, linebacker commit for Alabama, flips to the University of Tennessee. Jaden Harmon, 6'1", about 205. He's from Rome, Georgia. He is, according to the On3 industry rankings, national recruit number 168, so he's a top 170 recruit in the nation. He's like the 16th ranked linebacker and 19th player from the state of Georgia. We know about Georgia and Florida and California and Texas and Louisiana. And there's a lot of really, really good football players there. On3 specifically has Jaden Harmon at recruit number 129. ESPN has him at 127. Rivals has him at 193, and 247 actually has him at 231. But On3's high on him. 129th in the country, 13th linebacker, 20th from the state of Georgia. But a really, really nice in-tune prospect that obviously Alabama want. Kane Warmack, former head coach of South Alabama, coming over to be the DC for Kellen DeBoer. He was the primary recruiter. He worked this one really, really hard. Got his commit back in, I want to say it was April, around April 14th, 15th, somewhere in there. And Jaden Harmon was set to go and be a Crimson Tide, be a part of the Crimson Tide football program. Well, William Inge got to work. Tennessee never gave up, and Jaden Harmon flips from Alabama to Tennessee over the weekend. And I understand Nick Saban's not there. I understand this is a new era in college football and a new era for Alabama. But again, like I said earlier, like this isn't Tennessee getting a flip from Mississippi State. This isn't Tennessee getting a flip from Ole Miss. This isn't Tennessee getting a flip from Missouri. This is Tennessee getting a flip from somebody who was signed up ready to roll to go to Alabama. And I think this is huge. And, Jaden Harmon, Tennessee needed another linebacker in this class. Tennessee, Christian Perlotti was rumored to be flipping to Tennessee from Georgia for quite some time. He ended up flipping to, I want to say USC. It was a couple weeks ago. But that became more and more of a distant thought. Tennessee still needed another linebacker in this class. And Tennessee now gets it with Jaden Harmon. So congratulations to William Inge. This is his first really, really big get in terms of a recruiting win for William Inge, being a part of the Tennessee program, being a part of the Tennessee assistants coaching pool. And he joins, let's see here, Christian Gass, that's like the last Gass, as the other linebacker in this class. I want to make sure I didn't forget anybody. Yep, that's it right now. So Tennessee needed another linebacker, and you look at the linebacker recruiting here the last couple of cycles. You know, Arian Carter, Jeremiah Thielander, Jalen Smith was a really, really nice get. Edwin Spillman. You add in what you got via the portal and Keenan Peely. I know I'm probably forgetting some people, but nonetheless, this linebacker room is looking better and better for years to come. And I think Jaden Harmon is going to be very much a part of that as well. So I think this is a big deal. Anytime you flip somebody from away from Georgia or Florida or Alabama or LSU and they're coming to Tennessee, this is a big deal. And this kind of went under the radar a little bit. There was some talk a little bit Sunday morning, but for the most part, this kind of flew right out from left field. And if you're Tennessee, that's something awesome. So Jaden Harmon flips from Alabama to Tennessee, and that's just another cherry on top to a great recruiting weekend. So what is next in recruiting? Well, Tennessee's now up to 23 commits in the class of 2025. It's solidified itself as a top 10 class no matter what, with the addition of David Sanders, the 5-star plus offensive tackle. Coming up later this week on the 23rd, Onis Cannonbanny is going to commit to either Tennessee or Florida State. 4-star rated cornerback from Columbia, South Carolina. He is considered the number 340th prospect in the country, according to the On3 industry rankings. Tennessee very much wants to add to, it's got a couple of safeties in this class, not as many corners, so wanted to add another corner, and Onis Cannonbanny is a guy that Tennessee believes it's in really, really good standing with. So Onis Cannonbanny is going to commit to either Tennessee or Florida State, and that is coming up on August the 23rd. And if he picks the Volunteers, well, that means that Tennessee's got 24 commits in the class, and this is shaping up to be the best class that Josh Heupel has had since he's been head coach at the University of Tennessee. So we'll be watching that one as well. Okay, so I wanted to point your direction to as well at a current Tennessee commit, and this is Travis Smith. Travis Smith on Friday night opening up his senior season. Boy, what a stat line he produced. 267 yards on 9 receptions and 2 touchdowns in one game. Travis Smith, of course, a couple of weeks ago was thought to be one of the best. I mean, he still is, don't get me wrong, but he was, ratings-wise, he was one of Tennessee's best commits. He kind of started that strand of getting commits on Saturdays there in the mid part of July. 4-star rated prospect. On3 has him as the 59th overall prospect in the country. Number 10 wide receiver, number 8 from the state of Georgia. The On3 industry rankings has him as the 126th prospect in the country and the 16th best wide receiver, 14th player from the state of Georgia. But again, Travis Smith is a guy that On3 is very high on, and he started off his senior season really, really well. Again, 9 catches, 267 yards, and 2 touchdowns to begin his senior season. So wanted to highlight that. Hey, when we come back, Tom Fornelli gives you a couple reasons why, if you don't have a team this year, of course, everybody listening to this podcast definitely does have a team this year, but if some of your friends don't have a team this year to root for, why not give Tennessee a try? We'll get into that. What's he mean by that? All that and more as the Monday show continues. Patience, drive, passion, the formula for winning championships is what also keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, and LED headlights and more, whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you will always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money is back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep a ride or die alive today at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Motors Guaranteed Fit. Only available to U.S. customers. All right, welcome back into your Monday edition of Locked On Vols. Don't forget, Twitter Tuesdays, X Tuesdays coming up tomorrow. Old habits don't die easy. X Tuesday, mailbag show. Get in those questions, those comments, whatever you guys have at _Caner and at Locked On Vols. Tom Fornelli over at CBS Sports wrote a story essentially and says his headline is Looking for a team to adopt this year? These college football squads are all worthy of your affection in 2024. Subheading, Tennessee in the Pac-2, both some of the most intriguing storylines heading into the new college football season. So you can go over there and read it verbatim and see what he has to say about some of these other teams, but Tom Fornelli goes ahead and he lists a couple of teams ahead of Tennessee. I don't think he's doing this in specific order, but the first team that he mentions is Houston, and of course he's head coached by Willie Fritz coming over from Tulane. New Mexico, that's Bronco Mendenhall, formerly of Virginia. We know that. San Jose State. And then he gets to Tennessee, and a lot of the reasons why he mentioned those three teams first was because he really likes the head ball coaches of those teams. And he goes in to say, no offense, this is a quote, no offense to Tennessee's head coach Josh Heupel, but while the first three teams on the list are about my affection for the new coaches at these places, Heupel has nothing to do for my love for the Vols in 2024. He goes on to say, no, there's only one man responsible for it, and I can't wait to watch him light the world on fire. I'm talking about Nico Iamaleava. Iamaleava appeared in only 5 games as a freshman last season, threw only 45 passes, but I've watched every single snap that he took. Even the UTSA game where he went 0 for 2 passing and took a 4-yard loss on a sack. Everything I've seen from Nico and everything I've been told from scouts who have watched him for years leads me to believe that this kid has a very, very high ceiling. When you combine his skill set with the offense he'll be playing in, I'm not kidding when I say I believe Iamaleava is a legit Heisman candidate in 2024. He can take Tennessee from college football playoff at-large hopeful to possible SEC champion. In a season where we don't have the no-doubt superstar quarterback, Nico should be the guy. Scratch that, Nico will be the guy, end quote. So, some high praise there from Tom Fornelli over at CBS Sports. Talking all about Nico. And again, we've talked about Nico all offseason. We've talked about his ceiling. We've talked about where he could finish in the Heisman finalists. Heisman odds. We've talked about what this offense can do with Nico moving on from Joe Milton and some of the guys who were here last year. I mean, we've talked, and gosh, we need football so bad, okay? Part of my job is to moderate the General's Quarters, and I bring that up all the time, and I love the General's Quarters because it pays my salary. We need football in the worst way, okay? Some of the threads that are out there to begin with, very much way out there, just trying to find something to nitpick at, just trying to find something to be upset about. We need we're just that time in the offseason, or we're that time in fall camp, really, where it's like, okay, we got football, we can talk, we see pictures, we see videos, this is cool, awesome, you're hearing this guy's doing well, and then it's like, okay, well, they've been doing this for a couple of weeks now, and kickoff's still a little under 2 weeks away. We're just kind of, we need to get there in the worst way. So we're going to get there. We just got to power through. We got to power through and get there together. But we need football in the worst way possible, in my opinion. But my point is, we continue to talk about Nico and Nico this and Nico that. We just got to go see him out there play, right? We just got to go see him out there and see what he can do week after week, game after game. When adversity hits, I mean, he's going to make some mistakes. All freshman quarterbacks do. He will throw an interception. He will fumble the football. He will make a bad read and put the football in harm's way. But what does he do after that? Does he pick himself up and move on? Does he have a short-term memory? Does he make those few and far between plays instead of making those habits? I believe that's what he will do. We just have to see how he's going to respond when adversity hits, because we know he's going to make highlight plays. The ability's there. We know he's going to go out there and make a ton of plays. We know he's going to go out there and light the world on fire at times. But what I'm intrigued to see about Nico is how he responds when adversity hits. We've seen some quarterbacks at the University of Tennessee that just tower and they can't handle it, and they can't move on from one mistake to the next. We've seen some other quarterbacks at Tennessee, when they do make a mistake, man, they move it on. They learn from it and go on, like Hendon Hooker. He made very, very few mistakes. Look at the turnovers he had as a starting quarterback at Tennessee, and very, very few and far between. Really, Joe Milton as well in terms of turning the football over. Of course, he didn't take as many chances as Hendon did, but nonetheless, we just need to go see what Nico does on a week-to-week basis. But we continue to hear great things and rave reviews about him from local media personnel like myself to national media personnel such as Tom Fornelli at CBS Sports, and we continue to read all and that's awesome. I mean, it makes us feel good as Tennessee fans, right? but we just need to see it. So here's another one that you can put in terms of being in Nico's camp and a believer in Tennessee. This is Tom Fornelli over at CBS Sports. So again, these some of the teams he's highlighting in terms of teams you should be rooting for in 2024: Houston, New Mexico, San Jose State, Tennessee, the Pac-12 that's now the Pac-2 and Washington State and Oregon State, because who doesn't want to root for those two teams? After what happened to the conference that was standing over 100 years old, and those are going to be two teams that are easy to root for sure. That is for sure. But I think overall, I think Tom Fornelli is going to be in the minority here, because I don't think a lot of casual college football fans are going to be rooting hard for Tennessee, because Tennessee, the fan base is all over the place on social media. All the rumors in terms of the NIL man, the $8 million man, all that and more. Plus, Tennessee's a hated brand. If you're not a part of the fan base, Tennessee might be one of the most recognizable brands, but it's also one of the most hated brands in all of college football and all of college athletics. So I think Tom Fornelli is going to be on an island here by himself, because I don't think a lot of the casual football viewers across America are going to be adopting Tennessee as their team this year. But hey, if you're a Tennessee fan, I say there's room on the bandwagon. Jump on ahead, right? Or you can say, no, you weren't here with us shooting in the gym. Whatever the case is, but you can count Tom Fornelli as a believer in Nico Iamaleava. Okay, a big show here on a Monday, breaking down the additions of David Sanders Jr. and the flip from Jaden Harmon, the linebacker who was committed to Alabama and now is committed to the University of Tennessee. And I just refreshed the recruiting rankings, because actually the flip happened at the time that I was recording this. Tennessee is up to number 6 in the nation, number 4 in the SEC. Number 4 in the SEC, I believe, is as high as Tennessee's been in the SEC all cycle. So, a couple of days ago, Tennessee was 9th and 7th. Now, with the additions of David Sanders and Jaden Harmon, Tennessee is 6th and 4, and Tennessee now has 23 commits for the class of 2025. A really, really, really solid weekend for the University of Tennessee recruiting this weekend. All right, when we come back tomorrow, we'll answer your questions, your mailbag questions, @_Caner at Locked On Vols. Check out the Locked On Vols Instagram account as well. I've been posting some reels there. Appreciate you guys for what you do, making Locked On Vols a part of your morning routine, your first listen. Make Locked On SEC, Locked On College Football your second, third listen here when you're done with Locked On Vols. Couldn't do this show without you everydayers. Really, really do appreciate you. When you see me out in public, had an awesome guy come by Saturday at the complex and say, hey, I'm an everydayer. That pumps me up, man. I really, really do appreciate it. So come say hello if you ever see me in person. All right. Appreciate you guys as always. Let's do it again. Same time, same place tomorrow morning. This is Locked On Vols.